So you're thinking about moving to Idaho. Terrific! I don't want to get off on a rant here, but by the end of this video, even though Idaho is a great state, you might change your mind. In this video, I'm going to explain what real estate people and travel brochures don't tell you about Idaho. Sort of how I'd explain it to a friend. Got it? Let's take a look at Idaho.
In Idaho, the winters freeze you through. No place to party, just endless views. The snow's so deep, you can't even drive. And when you do, you'll likely lose your glove. You think you found a cozy little spot, but wait, there's no bar within miles that's not Idaho. It's not for everyone. With potatoes and cold, you're done. No nightlife, just endless skies. This state's for those who love to die.
Imagine a place where winter wakes up in October and forgets what month it is, and then loiters around your driveway until mid-April, like a house guest who keeps saying, "We should really head out." You scrape ice off your windshield while your breath fogs up the inside, the outside, and somehow your soul. If you're lucky, the road is only slick. If you're not, it's a curling rink with speed limits. Then if you make it past the perma-twilight of February without acquiring a new relationship with your chiropractor, August shows up with a cigar and a flamethrower. Wildfire season in Idaho isn't a date, it's a calendar event. Whole weeks smell like a campout hosted by chain smokers. The hills fade into gray silhouettes, your air purifier starts whispering prayers, and you discover that your favorite pastime is now checking the air quality index while the rest of the country checks their stock tickers. Hikes become an inhaler tour. Sunsets are gorgeous in that apocalyptic, is this a screensaver or the end of world days kind of way. You'll post a photo captioned, "Beautiful evening," while a dog in that picture coughs like he's been living under a pai-gow table at a Chinese casino that was built in a coal mine. Idaho is calm and uncrowded, was the rumor once upon a time, back when the state was mostly potatoes and secret. The secret got out, and then it got out again. Then it bought a house, a second house, and a subscription to traffic. Boise's ring roads turned into necklace beads of brake lights. Meridian looks like a subdivision sprinted into another subdivision and collapsed on a pile of cul-de-sacs. Saturdays are now a competitive event where the winner finds a parking spot within walking distance of the front door of Costco, and the loser contemplates home delivery fees like they're a life philosophy. Housing? Well, if you're hoping for those 2011 prices everyone talked about, I got some bad news for you. They don't exist anymore unless you have a time machine. The average home value in Idaho, the entire state, back in 2011 was about $180,000. That's it. In 2022, it was $501,000. There's been a little drop since then, and it's all the way down to $467,000. It's definitely not that cheap place it once used to be. And that was why a lot of people moved there. Now, a lot of the people who moved there came from very expensive states, so it's still kind of cheap to them. But to the people that are moving there from the Midwest and, let's say, Montana or North or South Dakota, it's gotten terribly expensive. On the job front, Idaho is honest and straightforward. It's basically what they say on the package: agriculture, logistics, and healthcare. Good essential work that feeds, moves, and heals people. If you're dreaming of something bigger, they've got a few startups. Nothing like what you'll find in Washington, California, Oregon, but they do have startups because a lot of companies now see it as a more affordable place, not just for the company, but for its workers. So there are some tech jobs out there, but nothing compared to the other West Coast states. Okay, so you're thinking, I don't need to live in one of the big cities where it's terribly expensive. I could live a little further out, which in Idaho means your nearest neighbor is a coyote and your nearest grocery store is like a 90-minute drive. People in Idaho describe distance by coffee temperature. We're a hot coffee drive away from town. We're a lukewarm coffee drive away from the hospital. And we're a cold coffee drive from anything fun. Rural isolation is charming the first 2 weekends or so. You post some photos of a starry sky and silence. On the third week, the silence sneaks into your house and starts critiquing your life choices. When the driveway drifts over with snow and a plow truck decides your road is a rumor, you learn what the pioneers meant when they said, "We settled." Public transit, that's adorable. You'll be driving. You'll be driving to the place you drive from to drive to other places. Their version of public transportation is a few buses in a few major cities. That's about it. If you're coming from Seattle or Portland and you move to one of the big cities in Idaho and you're used to public transit, you're going to be sadly disappointed. You'll be stuck in your car. You'll be driving in your car through winter, summer, everything. You'll be kneeling down to put on chains so often you think you may have proposed to a set of Michelins. And if you're coming from someplace that doesn't snow a lot, get used to lifting up your windshield wipers at night or when you go into work or when you come out, they're going to be frozen solid to your windshield. Another thing a lot of people need to keep in mind when they're moving to Idaho, they don't really have big airports. I mean, they're nice, they're compact, the workers are friendly. They're essentially regional airports, and they tend to be a little more expensive than a big airport like in Seattle, Los Angeles, or even Portland. If you want to have some fun, go on any travel website and try and get a flight to a regional airport and then compare it to the big airport that's in whatever state you're going to. It's usually pretty expensive. Now let's talk about the healthcare. Primary care can be fine, but specialists are a scavenger hunt. You need a particular type of surgeon, pack snacks. You might be driving 3 towns over, 2 mountain passes, and a motivational podcast away. On winter mornings, that drive becomes an episode of Ice Road Appointments. And if you miss yours, congratulations. You've unlocked the bonus level called Reschedule for 3 months from now. Education funding is a conventional landmine. Lots of folks care. Many teachers do heroic work with a pocket of change, duct tape, and a moral budget composed of sheer will. But the resources don't always match the pep talks. That's the honest fact about most schools. Some districts run levies like annual bake sales with extra paperwork. If you think modern classroom means cutting edge tech, in some places in Idaho, it means the HVAC is younger than your students. You can always homeschool, of course. Between the math worksheets and the cow that got loose again, you'll locate a curriculum called Whatever We Can Manage Before Dinner. Politically, Idaho picks a lane, sets cruise control, and waves when you pass. It is very conservative. If your yard sign vocabulary includes words like liberal and urbanist, or God forbid DEI, prepare for spirited conversations. When I say spirited conversations, I mean both sides raise their voices respectfully. You may need to practice nodding and changing the subject to fishing. People are friendly, make no mistake, but the ideological range can feel like the color wheel is only black or white. Speaking of controlled substances, which we weren't, Idaho controls spirits. The state runs those hard stuff stores, where you can only buy liquor in the certain store. You can't buy it at the grocery store. Oregon, they do it here too. And a lot of people kind of look at it kind of strange when they move to either one of these states. There's a few states that do this, but I didn't expect it from Oregon or Idaho. I expect that from the Bible Belt. Late night options are thin. If you're coming from a place where you could buy bourbon at 1 a.m. with a pizza and a cactus, prepare to adjust. Plan ahead, or your Friday night old-fashioned becomes a Saturday afternoon iced tea. You'll also meet the local ecosystem, which has no respect for your histamines. Sagebrush pollen blows around like it owns the place. Field dust drifts across the road in sheets so thick you could name them. Mosquitoes hold neighborhood meetings at dusk. Goathead thorns are like tiny medieval weapons disguised as seeds. They get into your bike tires, dog paws, and that part of your foot that makes you invent new yoga poses. After your third puncture, you'll declare them your eternal nemesis. Let's address the elephant in the moving truck, the California invasion. You will hear about it within 48 hours of moving there, probably at the hardware store while you're trying to buy a snow shovel that looks like farm equipment. Locals will explain, some politely, and some with the tone of how the waves of newcomers, especially from the coast, arrived with big equity checks and bigger opinions. The storyline goes like this. They brought the politics they left behind. They bid up the real estate, they changed the vibe, and they want bike lanes where there used to be tractor lanes. Some of this is fair. Some is just campfire tale people tell to console themselves when Zillow makes them queasy. But make no mistake, this tension exists. If your license plate indicates that you may have just crossed the border, be ready to nod along while someone explains how to be a good transplant. Starting with not saying, back in California, and that is probably one of the biggest problems going on in Idaho right now. What a lot of people in Idaho don't understand is most of the people that move there from California, Oregon, or even Washington are conservatives. I mean, some liberals do move there. I'm not saying none of them do, but a majority of the liberals leaving California will go to some place like Texas, Colorado, Oregon, Washington. And, the ones that are moving up to Idaho are usually conservatives. They're going up there to be with their own. So it's not so much that the liberals are changing the state. If you look at the voting patterns of Idaho and Arizona for that matter, since 2000, more people have registered as independent or Democrat than Republican. So it's coming from within. And I'm talking about the 18-year-olds. So their first time registration, they're choosing independent or Democrat over Republican. Granted, that's basically two ideologies against one, but it didn't used to be that way. It used to be straight Republican. I wouldn't say straight Republican, but before 2000, it was about 65% would be Republican over the other two. Now, this is one thing I noticed whenever I visited and when I've stayed in Idaho. Idaho smells like a lot of different things. Pine after rain, cold on January mornings, and also dairy feedlots and sugar beet processing, which produce aromas best described as industrial barnyard. On certain days, the wind shifts and your car's interior becomes a memory of places for scents you will never fully escape. You'll roll up the windows and then realize that somehow it just got worse. The good news is, after a month, your brain gives up and decides that that's just what the planet smells like now. Now, the seasons here don't believe in a nuanced transition. Spring doesn't arrive so much as it flops out of a snowbank and treads water for 6 weeks. Mud season is a lifestyle here. Yes, they call it mud season. You will own boots you didn't think were ever necessary outside of a wilderness documentary. Those days with the perfect window, like 60 to 70 degrees and sunny, that's a very short window, and it just checks out as soon as it gets there. Now, you probably told yourself that you're moving there for the outdoors. So did everyone else. Now, the trail near town that looked empty on Instagram now has parking enforcement and Subarus. You will set your alarm clock for 6 a.m. to beat the crowd and still share the summit with a golden retriever named after a national park. The river floats turn into a social event where you're introduced to strangers via slow motion collisions. If you want solitude, try Wednesday during a cold snap. Bring a headlamp and pretend that you're having fun. Now, the nature here is majestic. It definitely is. Idaho is very beautiful from a nature standpoint. Nature also throws things at your car, like deer. Deers leap in front of your car with the confidence of a gymnast that hasn't seen the routine yet. Rattlesnakes devise fun little surprise parties under rocks. Ticks join your hike uninvited and request they stay for the night. And every so often, a curious black bear ambles through to remind you that you live where the food chain keeps a ledger. You'll buy a bell, you'll carry spray, and you'll still jump when a squirrel bounces out of the leaves. Here's the thing. People who love Idaho really love Idaho. They'll tell you that winter builds character, the smoke is seasonal, the growth is inevitable, the taxes are flexible, and the jobs are solid if you're not picky about what solid means. They'll say isolation is freedom, the drive is independence, and the flights are manageable if you plan ahead. The schools are better than the internet tells you they are, the politics are just a backdrop if you're neighborly, and the liquor laws keep the riffraff from buying tequila at 2 a.m., which, yeah, it does. They'll point to the mountains and say, how could you not? And they're not wrong. They're just not in your car when the elk decide that it's an excellent time to test your braking system. And that'll leave a stain on your front seat. So if you're still thinking about moving to Idaho, set realistic expectations. Expect the sky to put a lid on the valley in winter and the forest to perfume the summer with eau de campfire. Anticipate traffic where you were told there wouldn't be any traffic, and expect prices that make a mockery of your spreadsheet. Practice saying I work in logistics even if you don't know what that means. Get comfortable with nearby being a road trip. Pray to the gods of rubber and salt and hope that your tires keep their grip. Accept that a weekend getaway may cost the same as a set of snow chains, and decide which one is better for your sanity. Know the hospital might be a long drive and the school board meetings go long into the night. Nod politely through political monologues. Put the whiskey on your grocery list 3 days before you want it. Buy tweezers for goat heads and develop a dignified limp. Learn the script for the California question and keep your equity flex in your pocket. Keep towels by the door for mud and an extra pair of socks in the truck for pity. Hike early, float slowly, pass safely, and give a deer all the time in the world. Idaho can be beautiful and brutal in the same afternoon. It can hand you a sunset that makes you forgive 6 months of gray. It can give you a quiet night of stars so sharp you swear you can hear them. It can make you feel like you discovered something special and then remind you that 50,000 other people discovered it too, and they all brought paddleboards. If you want easy, this isn't it. If you want a place where the weather keeps you humble, the roads keep you cautious, the prices keep you alert, and the neighbors keep score of your license plate. If you can manage all that, you're going to be fine. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.